Now before starting, I need to say that romance in isekai anime isn't going to be as serious as romance in high school anime. Most of the time it is going to be lighthearted, funny, and just there so the lonely guy can find some female companions. So without waiting any further, let's see 10 isekai romance animes you should watch. Let's go! 10. Shouyoyu.
どうぞ。ヤギのミルクで作ったシチューです。とっても美味しいですよ。はい、
自分が幼い子供に戻ったみたいだ。
Here's one of those animes where a group of geniuses land on a fantasy world. Yes, we no longer have those dumb main characters who don't know what the hell's going on, because this time our characters are smart enough to understand that they are in an isekai anime, and they could use their knowledge for their advantage. This anime has a bit of an original setting, where both the fantasy world and our real world intersect with each other, instead of being separate on their own. It is also interesting to see how each of these characters specialize in a different area, instead of being the same character copy-paste over and over again. The romance trope of this story is only played very lightly, and the antagonists can be a bit too stereotypical, but if you ignore those flaws, you get a nice, fast-paced isekai anime. 9. Full Dive. Full Dive is one of those new anime where the guy doesn't know what the heck is going on. Yes, that's right, as soon as he lands on the fantasy world, he straight up goes and kills his best friend. And then his sister turns out to be a yandere. I know most isekai protagonists don't have a good start, but this guy is so unlucky that he gets depressed after playing the game and goes to the store to get a refund. But turns out the lady in the store also plays the game, and she helps this guy to succeed in some places. Think of her like the Firekeeper in Dark Souls, but this time she can fly around, but she still does nothing. Full Dive feels like the perfect original isekai anime, and if you are thinking this white-haired girl is the only one who's going to fall in love for our guy, then don't forget, we get a yandere too. 8. Familiar of Zero.
じゃあご飯抜きにするわよ。鎖も外してあげない。
Since we spoke about the yandere, it is time to speak about the tsunderes. Familiar of Zero is about one innocent guy in our world who got transported into a fantasy world as a noble daughter's pet, and turns out the noble daughter isn't as good as you think. The sad thing about Familiar of Zero is that in the first season, you want to punch this pink-haired girl in the face, but after some time you realize, oh, she's a tsundere, so this type of behavior is very common. Then season 2, 3, and 4 come along, and you actually start to sympathize with her. I mean, when the queen starts to fall in love with the guy, you know this girl is up for some challenge. 7. Infinite Dendrogram.
お前は望んだ可能性をつかみ取ったぞ。 私はネメシス。
Okay, the main character here is your average love him or hate him sort of guy, but the concept of this isekai is really nice. You've got this virtual reality RPG called Infinite Dendrogram, and then we have this high school boy called Reiji Mukudori deciding to purchase the game to play it, but then he gets into some average isekai trouble in the average isekai land. The problem with this show is it markets itself saying how the game offers new possibilities in a new world, and unless you're marketing Elden Ring, you cannot use that slogan. The romance aspect plays a major part in the series, and even though it might not be serious as other romance animes I recommend, it suits the narrative and the characters really well. Still, you're going to hate this Ray guy. He's not a favorite of anyone who watched the show will agree with me. 6. 7 Senses of the Reunion.
一緒にダンスパーティーに行こうって誘ってほしいの。
お前、いきなり何？
冗談なんて言ったら怒るから。
Can isekai bring dead characters back to life? Apparently it can. Okay, let me explain why. Once upon a time in the real world, there's this girl called Asahi. She decides to play a virtual reality game along with her friends. Suddenly, Asahi dies. How? Why should you care? Just listen to what I have to say. So when Asahi dies, her friends abandon the game. And then when one of her friends logs back into the game a couple of years later, he finds Asahi's avatar in the game. Is this the real Asahi? Can ghosts play virtual reality games? You can tell in one glance that this anime is a straight ripoff of Sword Art Online and Anohana. Come on, dead childhood friend and isekai world. Previous friends reunite to meet this dead friend. Is the mixture of SAO and Anohana bad? Is it good? Well, you have to be the judge. 5. Our Last Crusade.
何をしているの？
つい
Who needs Romeo and Juliet Isekai? Yes, I know. It's your good old enemies become lovers formula slapped into an Isekai anime. Have you heard of Lord Marksman and Venatus? What if you just took out the concept of Lord Marksman and Venatus, improved the visuals, and then presented it with a different setting? I know Our Last Crusade and Lord Marksman and Venatus have completely different stories, but the overall concept remains the same. The girl and the boy are enemies, but once they find each other, they immediately fall in love, and there's more magic this time too. Another interesting thing is how they blend the romance into this ongoing tension of war and show the repercussions of it. Don't worry, you won't find anything tragic in here. 4. By the Grace of the Gods.
セイルフォールに来てから僕とスライムたちだけだった世界は大きく
Why wait till you're a teenager to earn the affection of the ladies when you can show a few magic tricks and make everyone fall in love with you? Ryoma Takabayashi is a lonely man who led a life filled with hardships until he died from an unfortunate accident and got reincarnated in a fantasy world as a child. Here he makes use of his innate knowledge and abilities combined with the blessings he received from 3 goddesses to lead a new life and start a new adventure. Even though this is your average isekai premise, the show has an interesting main character. Yes, that's right. This short guy over here is an interesting main character, even though he looks like an even smaller version of that kid from Mother of Goddess Dormitory. 3. Saint's magic power is omnipotent.
本当に作れるようになってる。
でも失敗も多いしまだ3つ目よ
Every once in a while, you are going to need that slow-paced romance anime. No, not those fast-paced action thrillers where a teenager goes swinging a sword at fantasy monsters. You need this character drama that shows the inner struggles of the characters while presenting you with a calm slice-of-life story. This time, the story is about Sai Takanashi, who finds herself thrown into a fantasy world, but this time as a holy maiden. But she immediately is kicked out because she was summoned as a spare. Do you think she would be depressed like all our boys who got kicked out from kingdoms? No. In fact, she decides to devote her time to research because she isn't like those other isekai protagonists. If you want an isekai romance with a smart main character, then this is the show for you. 2. The world's finest assassin gets reincarnated in another world.
もう2週間だね
そうだな。
もうお別れだね
そうだな。
ずっとこうしていたいね
Are you tired of wimpy main characters? Then get ready to meet a badass. Yeah, that's right. This guy shoots his enemies and gets the girl. And this time, you can't say this guy has special powers because he was an assassin in his previous life. So when he is forced to be an assassin in his current life, he becomes even more skilled. And this time, he even has magic. Another thing I like about this show is how it establishes the main character's main love interest without making sure this goes the harem route. I mean, the other girls still like him, but our assassin has his eyes only on one girl. The show also has a more mature feeling compared to other isekais I've watched, and the main character definitely belongs to the anti-hero category. Oh, this is from the same guy who wrote this show, so it is no surprise. 1. The ambition of Oda Nobunaga. Are you tired of learning Japanese history? Then turn every popular Japanese warlord into an anime girl. That's right, this is an anime, so it's possible. In the ambition of Oda Nobunaga, we've got Yoshiharu Sagara, a high school student who one day wakes up and finds himself in an alternative reality of the time of the Sengoku period. Here he meets Nobuna Oda and realizes that she's the female counterpart of the fabled war hero Nobunaga Oda. He realizes that this world is its entire separate timeline, where almost every Japanese war hero is a cute girl. If you want some serious isekai with Japanese warlords, cute anime girls, then this is the show for you. It's not going to be the next Fate Grand Order, but at least you'll start to like Oda Nobunaga.